Tonight on Country Squire Radio,
we're late.
We're way late. We are way late, and you guys, y'all are killing us already. Y'all are taking us to the cleaners.
Oh, it's so much fun. I love it.
It's great.
It really is awful. Of course, I just needed to mention it. I mean, you know, I mess up Beau's cheese.
No, we're all good.
But
singing "Call Me Al," it was fine.
No, it's great. It's great. Actually,
fine.
I think most of the lateness is due to yours truly here. So,
no, but one way or the other,
I had to powder my nose. You know, I mean, the tobacconist, he's kind of a diva sometimes.
This is no comment. No, but you are tuning into Country Squire Radio, where you are going to be watching a show dedicated to Castello. That's right. We're talking about an awesome brand, an awesome company. Looking forward to talking about that. We also have got a great pipe question on tobaccos. How do they burn? How should they burn? Do they burn better? Why is that? We've got that in our not fire question, although actually it is kind of a fire question.
Oh, we should have a fire question. Yeah.
It kind of is.
Yeah.
Quick fire questions, listener feedback, all that more. We're late. Let's just jump into it. Welcome to Country Squire Radio. I'm Beau.
And I'm John David.
JD.
Hey, Beau. Good evening, man.
Man, good evening to you, sir. How you doing tonight?
I'm doing great. I'm enjoying a glass of our traditional summertime boodles and smoking some Bowser's Castle from the Country Squire, which just smells awful.
Oh, I've got a bit of a story about the Bowser's Castle.
It's such a good tobacco, and I'm very proud of my humility. I did a very good job blending this tobacco, but it just smells awful.
No, all right. So tonight we are, as kind of we mentioned in the pre-show, we are running super late.
I mean, it's 5 minutes, but you know.
Yeah, well, lately we've been on
for Country Squire Radio. That's bad.
Well, it's early compared to how late we used to be in the early days.
It is shameful.
Yeah, that is true. But no, so you know, part of the reason we're running late, it's not a matter of naming names or anything, but you know, you came in a little bit later this evening than
I won't mention anyone, but his initials are John David Cole, right?
His initials are JD. Don't know who that could be,
right?
But no, you came in a little bit later than you normally do. But while I'd say in the last 2 minutes of the shop being open tonight, I was sitting here with Caleb the intern. We were having a nice chat, and three young gentlemen walk into the store. And they're all coming in for their first ever time to buy some pipe tobacco.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah. Now they've already got their pipes.
I missed that. That's awesome.
They are actually, I mean, it's like the quintessential perfect time to jump in. They are all three of them going off to college. Every single one of them. You had an MC student, an Ole Miss student, and a state student walk into a tobacconist. That should be a joke, right?
Yeah,
there.
they all priest, rabbi, and imam walk into a bar.
Exactly, right? Exactly. So they walk in, and you know, they've complete novices, and this is great, man, because I don't think I've ever gotten a chance to like be a part of this experience.
Yeah.
And so, you know, I'm sitting there, and Caleb kind of walks me through the motions and everything, and they're talking about various tobaccos, and you know, I hear the questions they're asking that I know that Caleb gets all the time, but I almost feel like those questions still live within me, even so many years later. And so I was trying to, you know, explain to him that not all tobaccos are the same. And so I asked Caleb if he was cool if I came back behind the counter and kind of pulled some stuff for him. And so I to kind of make a bit of a point, not necessarily make an argument per se, but just kind of give them an example.
Okay.
I pulled out Bowser's Castle, Rivendell, which was already out,
right,
and then also Treasure Island.
Oh, yeah.
The goal was to give them three very different pipe tobaccos.
And I think you nailed it. Yeah.
Yeah. And just to kind of explain to them that, you know, not all pipe tobaccos are exactly the same. And you know, the reason why you see a lot behind the counter is because there's a massive palette of flavors out there.
Yeah.
I think, if I'm not mistaken, Caleb sold him some Flambeau and some Rivendell. It's kind of two to kind of bring.
Well, that's
with
good.
them.
Those are both aromatic tobaccos, but you know, the Flambeau has a much heavier cherry casing on it, and the Rivendell is much more. It's one of those middle ground tobaccos. It's decidedly aromatic, but it's one of those that, you know, a non-aromatic smoker can appreciate because it's not goopy or syrupy.
Yeah.
So yeah,
well,
that's great. Man.
It was just really interesting to see them go through that process and to actually get a chance to kind of experience, like, oh man, look at these kids coming in here.
Yeah, man, shoot.
They don't even know what they walked into.
They don't even have a clue.
Yeah,
it's
but
like,
anyway.
Yeah, you went all nerd on them.
Well, shout out to those guys. I gave them the card, told them about the podcast.
Yeah,
hope the podcast.
Hope they tune in sometime.
Check it out. So
that's really neat. I do love interacting with new pipe smokers. It is probably the most like sacred thing you can do as a tobacconist, because you know, most of the time you're the very first experience they've had with someone in, you know, professional pipedom. You know, they may have, you know, bumped into some, you know, feedback on the internet or, you know, some forums or something. But, you know, a lot of times when they come in a shop like the Squire, you're kind of you're really the on the front lines. You're the first introduction they have.
right,
You're
yeah.
the face and hands of this this hobby, this pastime, this industry, and so that's I guess that's why we're kind of picky who gets behind the counter over here. I mean that's
Is that okay? Did I do
and that's
wrong?
why I'm really kind of ashamed that Caleb let you behind the counter. No, I'm just kidding.
I did ask. I was like, "Hey man, can I do your job for just a second?
Right.
I want to show them." But I was so excited to be able to be part of that. So that was kind of cool.
That's really great. That's great.
Well, hey man, of course, great things going on here in the pipe world. Of course, we mentioned it the last couple of episodes. We will continue to mention it as we get closer. But upcoming October 7th, the Texas Pipe Show. Going to be at Pop Safari Room in Fort Worth, Texas. You're not going to want to miss it. If you've never gotten a chance to drink Boodles with John David Cole, that might be your chance.
Do they sell Boodles in Texas?
We'll bring it with us.
If they don't, surely you
we'll
got to
smuggle it across the border.
You got to have something as awesome as Boodles in a state as awesome as Texas. So, yeah.
Well, you're like 80% Boodles anyway. So, I mean, like just by your presence.
And 100% Texan.
Well, there you go.
Yeah, my heart is in Mississippi now for a variety of reasons. But,
yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I think, yeah, I'll get liquored up on the Louisiana side of the border, which is not hard.
No. That is quite
You just
easy.
breathe the air in Louisiana. you drive through, the McDonald's, and they're like, "You want a daiquiri?"
yeah. Get that hurricane with that Big Mac.
That's right.
No, but of course, October 7th, make your plans if you haven't already. Pop Safari Room, Fort Worth, Texas. We will be there. Long smoke competition. Although, do they prefer the other terminology? Because I know there's slow smoke and
they
long
probably
smoke.
do, but I'm committed to being wrong.
Okay,
point.
good.
Yeah, so
good.
so for Country Squire radio purposes, it is slow smoke.
Okay.
Or I'm sorry, long
smoke.
Long smoke. But yeah, their long smoke competition, short smoke competition, slow smoke competition.
I mean, there's like
broke smoke competition. I feel like this is a Dr. Seuss thing, like waiting to happen.
It's a lawsuit waiting.
Okay,
to
so
happen.
yeah, it really is.
Version.
It really is, right? Okay, so the contest
I will
where
not
everyone
smoke it in the shop. I will not smoke it with the cop.
Oh, that's fantastic. Yeah, but with our tobacco, you can't smoke it with a cop.
That's true.
No. So the contest where everyone gets the 3 grams of tobacco, puts it in their pipe, lights it at the same time, and sees how long they can keep it lit. That contest, whatever you call it, is a part of this as well. They've also got several booths left. The first dibs are going to carvers, and for carvers, those are on the house, actually, the booths. And so you might be sharing table space with someone, but they've got a lot of open table space. Carvers kind of come first, and then on down the line are folks that sell ancillary stuff. But anyway, if you are in the pipe megasphere and certainly close enough to Dallas Fort Worth to make the drive, I think this will be very much worth your time.
Pipe megasphere,
it's a thing.
Okay, all right. I more power to it.
On the 7th of October, the epicenter of the megasphere
of pipedom
will
be Fort Worth, Texas.
Will be Fort Worth, Texas.
All right,
that's right.
That'll work for me, man.
And we will be there.
Absolutely. Well, hey, next week, we've got a great show planned for this week. Next week, we've also got a great show planned. We are reopening the book that is Pipe Culture. Longtime listeners know this is kind of an ongoing series that we do where we kind of talk about some things that are a little bit more on the fringes of the pipe world, but at the same time kind of connected tissue, things that we all kind of appreciate, maybe the lore of the pipe, if you will.
Yeah.
And we've been doing something these last 2 Pipe Culture episodes that have been really fun. We've been going through pipe smoking archetypes. So far, we've done the soldier, we've done so far we've done the father, the grandfather, the professor, the philosopher.
I love this. Yeah. This is so much fun.
And so for our next pipe archetype episode, we're going to be talking about 2 archetypes, which is the soldier and the sailor. Now, as we want to do here on the show, whenever we do a pipe culture episode, it's our chance to really turn the mics over to you guys. You are really the ones that help define what the culture surrounding the pipe is. And so in that regard, when you hear, pipe smoking soldier or a pipe smoking sailor, what images come to mind? What personalities? Or maybe there's characters, maybe there's people from history, maybe there's people from fiction, maybe you have a personal story you'd like to tell. Or maybe it is just the imagery that comes to mind. We like to keep things very broad whenever we're talking about pipe culture. So if you get a chance sometime this week, write us an email, send us a Facebook message, tweet us, whatever your preferred method of getting into the show, definitely do that. But again, the subject we'll be covering is the soldier and the sailor. So send those in for our next week's episode.
How much do you hate me?
Not at all.
Okay, good.
Sorry. cut that question.
Yeah,
Mike.
edit all that out. Yeah.
So we got a great show, of course, planned for next week. Now, before we jump into this week's episode, we've got some major shout outs to some folks who
this
joined.
Is so exciting.
Yeah, the International Pipe Smoking Club that is the Country Squire Radio Pipe Club.
International Pipe Smoking Club.
There it is.
Right.
Yeah. Dyslexia for the win on that one. We got some new members. In fact,
dude, this is great.
Joining us, ladies and gentlemen, 80th club member.
Are you ready to butcher your name?
Michael Iadika. It's like Gattaca, that movie. Remember that movie?
Gattaca was a movie.
Yeah, he scrubbed his skin on the beach with a rock. You remember that? I don't remember much, but I do remember that. And there was a guy with 6 fingers.
Wow.
He played the piano.
Yeah.
That's all I remember about that.
But did he smoke a pipe?
Michael Attica does.
Michael Attica does.
Who's not Gattaca.
I think this might be Michael Ladka. I could be wrong.
No,
I could be wrong.
No,
so we do have a good friend of the shop named Michael Ladka. And Michael, if this is you, and it is Michael Ladka, just let us know.
Yeah, let us know.
We just know that like butchering your name is it's part of the, you got to earn your stripes.
Exactly.
I mean that's part of Country Squire Radio family.
Well, it's all fun and games until I have to actually print out your club card. So yeah,
right.
If it is Ladka, let us know.
Ladka, right.
Right.
But on the flip side, if it is Iadika, then
we are so sorry.
Then Michael, we are terribly sorry.
Well, I'm not
thinking
sorry because I didn't butcher the name.
No, then you got it right, and that's great. So, man, Michael is our 80th club member, and dude, we're so thankful for you.
Absolutely.
So thanks for hopping on board, dude.
He scrubbed his skin with a rock. Do you remember that happened in that movie?
I do not.
I remember.
You're probably gonna go home and do that tonight.
Jeffrey Hall, ladies and gentlemen, also joining the Pipe Club at the Squire level.
Yeah, Jeffrey, man, such a good friend of the shop. Jeffrey, actually a local listener here in the Jackson metro area.
Yeah.
He's a good friend, and man, I've walked with Jeffrey as he's gone from kind of the earliest days of his pipe smoking, seen his taste change. He definitely has gone from that kind of heavy aromatic to heavy English, and now he's kind of settled all over the middle, as far as the Virginias and the kind of the light cased aromatics and stuff. And Jeffrey, just a great friend of the shop. He's one of those folks that when he comes to the Squire and stays, he'll come and post up here for a couple hours each time he comes, and just make sure he gets a good visit. And man, thanks so much, Jeffrey, for hopping on board and supporting the show.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Well, all right. So Jeffrey and Michael, the newest members at the Squire level, they're coming in at a really, really great time because we are really close. In fact, I thought, we were so close.
It's so close
to being able to open up the lounge. The lounge.
Yeah. So correct me if I'm wrong, Beau, but we actually have the lounge set up. Right?
It's set up.
It's virtually set up.
It's virtually set. We got the leather chairs are in.
The virtual leather chairs.
The virtual leather chairs are in.
Right.
Those little silver stands where you clean out your ash on, the ones that kind of stand next to the chairs. They have really classy places. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
I don't think you have any here, but in like
those
really classy
definitely
places.
don't have that. Yeah, if it involves a really classy place, it definitely isn't at the Country.
But no, we got all of that. There's a little bourbon bar, Meme Monday. I mean, like it's all there. But no, we got the rules, regulations, all that kind of good stuff happening. It's just a matter of cutting the ribbon, and we're like,
that's it. We're literally $5 away.
Well, it's more like two members away,
right?
But when it all comes down to it, but one way or the other, if you want to join the club, now would be a great time. There would be much rejoicing, actually, for whomever the next.
It's so funny. I mean, we're on the precipice of this, and of course, we've committed to it and are really excited about it. But there's a lot of pipe community that I'm involved in on the internet. Some on a very regular basis, some on a very kind of 10-foot pole basis. It just depends. It depends on my level of commitment and busyness and all that kind of stuff. But I mean, this will be kind of the thing that I check every day, and it's going to pop up on my personal notification thing on my iPhone every day and every couple hours. And man, I'm excited.
Have you ever
this is
admin
a
a
new
group
thing.
before?
I have not adminned a group, and I'm I'm interested to see where this is going to go. You know, how many comments we're going to have to, to moderate because of, I mean, certainly not Country Squire radio listeners. I mean, I don't know, but the hosts. I mean, they're complete loose cannons. You never know. Can the moderators be moderated?
Somebody that we should talk about that. That needs to happen.
I think that's wise.
But big ups to all of you who've joined the club. Like I said, we're very close to doing that. So whomever our next 1-2 members will be, that'll be a great way to get us over the edge so we can open that up. Also want to give a shout out to those of you supporting us, not necessarily club members, but those of you who've chosen to support the show.
Absolutely.
Your dollars go a long way.
We've got a new one this week, right?
Yeah. Joshua Manili.
Yeah. Manili.
Silent.
I think so.
All right, good deal.
Joshua, thanks so much, man, hopping on board at the patron level and man, just committing to support us once a week. And you can do that on patreon.com, right, Beau?
Patreon.com/Country Squire Radio. If you go to countrysquireradio.com, we got the big bar right there that says join the club. Click it. It's a great way to help support the show. All right, man, we've got an awesome topic tonight. We are talking about Costello. Now, this is really great because I have always been a fan of Elvis Costello for quite some time.
You're talking about like music. You're talking about like Abbott and Costello.
Redefined. Well, yeah. I mean, like completely redefined the genre to some extent. He's popped up from time to time on various television series that I've seen. As kind of like a bit actor and that sort of thing. I never knew he'd smoked a pipe, man. Pipe hero of the bowl, Elvis Costello.
Yeah, these are some of the reasons I drink on Country Squire Radio. I'm just kidding. Man, tonight we're talking about Costello pipes. That's right.
Was he in Gattaca? Sorry. Yes, Costello pipes. That's who we're.
That's
he
in Gattaca.
Hold on. What if that came full circle?
Well, hold on. Was he the one that scrubbed himself with the stone?
No. Who was that? That wasn't that. That was like Ben Kenobi, right?
All right, this is a disaster. So anyway,
Costello pipes.
Yeah, we're going to talk about Costello now. So, Costello pipes. Obviously, it's one of the premier pipe brands in the world, and there's only a few pipe makers that kind of made this level, this vision, or this kind of arena of esteem, certainly through the 20th century. And Costello is one of those brands. And we just wanted to honor them and kind of talk about them some. We've talked about a bunch of different pipe brands on Country Squire Radio.
Absolutely.
Of course, we've touched on, I think the first one we may have ever done was perhaps Sheraton. I'm not positive about that, but we've done Sheraton, Savinelli, Peterson.
Those three were definitely
Brebbia. Sure. I mean, we've done man, there's so many that we've touched on that I'm at a loss for now, but on and on, and of course Dunhill, and I just felt that it was right to visit our friends at Costello and just honor them for the place that they have in the pipe smoking community, not just in the Italian pipe world, but in the greater pipe world. So anyway, in honor of this episode, I am smoking my Costello tonight. It is a Shape 55, which we'll talk about later, and kind of has that swirled shank on there, which is really neat. So, but yeah, Costello, it's typically known as the premier Italian pipe brand, and these are handmade pipes in the mid 1940s. Okay, so think what's going on in the 1940s. We've got the World War II, obviously. World War II is kind of coming to an end, middle of 1940s, and the Italian, after all the devastation of the war, the Italian, industry is starting to kind of come back and find itself again. And after the war, you've got this guy, his name Carlo Scotti, and Carlo envisioned, it kind of starting an Italian brand of pipes. He wanted to make his own pipes. He wanted to get into pipe carving, but he wanted something that would, have the reverence that a name like Dunhill would have, right? So, so think of the era and the time, and also just the pipe world in general over the 20th century. What does Dunhill evoke, right? Dunhill evokes, it's the Rolls Royce of the pipe world. Okay, it's the thing where if you go to it, not only are you getting a really good product, but you are proclaiming that you're the big man on campus.
You're high class,
right? Yeah. I mean, it's when you buy a Dunhill, it's not just like, okay, I wanted a really good pipe, so I'm buying a Dunhill. You're also making a statement, right? I mean, that's that's built into the price, right?
Yeah.
It's the same reason you buy a Porsche or a Rolls Royce. I mean, you're getting a good car, but I mean, Audi also makes a good car. But you're buying
It's a
something.
status symbol.
You're buying something that is in its own identity and in its own DNA a status symbol. And Scotty really envisioned something like that from Italy, the home of the best briar in the world, that would compete with Dunhill on that level. And so he struck out to do this, right. He's was a pipe smoker, pipe maker, um, and really sought that. He wanted an Italian brand that was flawless, esteemed, just kind of possessing that social cachet or whatever, whatever it is that
Yeah.
kind of makes people say, oh, that guy, he's got it together. It's kind of
Sure,
like
yeah,
it's
yeah.
kind of like a sea of black tuxedos, and then there's that one guy wearing the white tuxedo.
Oh, snap.
You know what I mean?
James Bond.
Yeah. You kind of want to be that guy,
All
right?
right. Yeah.
So, there are only a few brands in the 20th century that kind of reach this level of prominence, right? And so Dunhill throughout the 20th century was kind of that staple. It had coming and going as far as that caliber. Brands like Sassini and of course Sheraton. We've talked about them a lot before. At times these were also brands that, like, if you saw someone with that pipe, you just knew that, like, oh well, that guy, he has it. He's kind of made it, right? Yeah, he's kind of made it. And so Scotty obviously wanted an Italian pipe maker to again, home of the world's best briar and all that, and some of the best pipe making tradition, to have something of that caliber.
Is that an aspect of it too? I mean, not just that the briar comes from Italy, but also that the carver is also going to come from Italy.
Absolutely, yeah. They wanted something with Italian DNA.
It's like, if you've got a chef, you want somebody named Pierre, even though Pierre may be like a high school dropout who plays video games in his parents' basement. In America, he's Pierre, the chef,
but he's
the
Pierre,
French chef,
right? I mean, you're not going to name him like Butch or something,
right? Well, I'm just saying, like,
right.
there's.
I've got a great friend Butch who is actually a retired chef.
Well, there you go.
But but I mean,
well, Butch actually works because you got a butcher thing going on there.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Okay,
in the South, that
yeah, I'm just saying, right? so anyway, the Costello, that they wanted this kind of Italianism to be in their DNA, their distinctive shapes, distinctive quality. The home of the best pipe makers and briar in the world, and so this was kind of in their founding just way of thinking. And so in 1946, Carlo Scotti, he began carving. They're still made to this day in Cantu, Italy. Cantu, is just what they created in this part of Italy was, something that kind of was the genesis of a whole family tree of the Italian, pipe smoking world. So, and we'll talk about that in a little bit later.
Cantu, Italy.
That's right. Castello actually means castle in Italian. And the word is, he kind of wanted something that would be translatable and also evoke thoughts of grandeur and things like that in a bunch of different languages. And so anyway, castle was kind of used as the moniker there. And then in the early days, they were really trying to push the envelope. They actually designed their logo, which is the current logo they have now, which is a white bar. And so you'll notice on any Costello stem nowadays, there's just a solid white bar. It used to be made actually of ivory, but then eventually was transitioned to resin and acrylic. But that white bar was kind of emblematic of something that's a Costello. When they see that. So what's interesting? Go ahead.
Well, so Dunhill's go to like when don't they have the double bar? Is that
no? It's a white dot.
Oh, it's a white dot.
That's right.
Who's the
double,
white
spot?
Who's the double bar? Do you know what I'm talking about?
Well, no, but there have been pipe makers over time that have had like a double bar kind of motif thing.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'm not sure who that was. I know there was a second brand from maybe Kamoy that for a while used a double bar. Anyhow, but yeah, Dunhill's the white spot.
Okay.
And the reason that Scotty chose the white bar was that he wanted something that would be simple and kind of iconic, and also would immediately kind of get itself into the same arena as a Dunhill, right? And so anyway, the first kind of early years of Costello, the brand was frankly kind of a mess. It took them several years to get it off the ground. They had a lot of inconsistencies on their stamping. Used a lot of interesting materials for the pipes, which is also in the Costello DNA. Costellos always have wanted to push the envelope. They've wanted to, be the different one that is kind of going to set themselves apart a bit. But experimented with some strange media, and what's odd is that their pipes were always typically pretty small. And in the modern Italian handmade premier pipe world, that could not be farther from the truth. Modern premier handmade Italian pipes are all gigantic. I mean, they're just huge, right? And
do you think
that's just an ongoing thing.
Do you think that shift has to do with the buyer shift? Like, if I'm paying that price, I better get a hunk of briar.
I think there is something to that, Beau. I really do. I think there is something. Even to this day, some of the best pipes in our shop here are tiny pipes. We've got particularly some of these petite pipes that are being cranked out by folks like Savinelli, and these petite pipes, they're incredibly high grade, but it's such a small pipe that people kind of wonder, like, I know that briar was aged for a long time, and I know the painstaking artisanship that went into it, and someone personally sandblasted this or hand cut the stem, but I mean, the pipe weighs 25 grams. Like, right. You know what I mean? It's so just kind of funny. Yeah.
Well, it's like that old SNL sketch where Will Ferrell is playing the manager of like this high end men's t-shirt shop or whatever, and they're always opening up their really, really petite, tiny cell phones as they keep on whipping out a smaller one,
So good.
Then he rolls in
I forgot
with
about that.
A brick, and they're like, "What is this?" He goes, "Big is the new small."
Yeah.
Same deal. Big's the new small.
Exactly. So, but anyway,
back then, small was the small.
But small was the small, right? in the first years there, though, they were kind of all over the map as far as the consistencies of their product, and so what's interesting here, and you can read this. There's tons of different recollections of this online that you're welcome to go read. This has been talked at constantly on the internet, just in the pipe world. But someone discovered Costello, okay, who was very important, and this was kind of the pivoting point. This was the watershed moment for the Costello brand, right? And that person that discovered Costello, it was in the mid 1950s, and his name was Wally Frank. How do I describe Wally Frank? Okay, so Wally Frank, if you've been in the pipe community a really long time, you've probably bumped into this name before. Wally Frank was he was a tobacconist. He was a retailer. He was probably, I mean, you think about the era we're talking. Okay, this is 1950s America. There is no internet. Most people don't have TVs. Radios are pretty common.
Radios are common now,
you're using the mail for most of your correspondence. Most people at this point probably have telephones, but I mean, this is a different world, right? And so Wally Frank, he was the big name in the pipe industry in the United States. Okay, you've got pipe smoking all over the world, but there's this kind of weird market over in the United States where this country that's kind of the new kid on the block that just happens to be this newest superpower post-war and all this kind of stuff.
Yeah, is the 50s kind of the peak of American pipe industry?
I think it probably would be the 70s.
Would be the 70s.
Yeah,
okay,
I think, but certainly it was on the upswing.
Interesting.
There.
Okay,
and so
we're on our way up. Right
yeah,
now.
we're on our way up, and Wally Frank, I think, was one of the pivotal people that built American pipedom that we mentioned earlier. Wally Frank, he was Mr. Frank, he was a retailer in New York, had several stores, but had a significant catalog service as well. Okay, so think, okay, how did you buy a pipe before you could get on the Country Squire's website, or before you could get on, pipesandscigars.com or whatever,
local package store?
And that's the thing. A lot of folks, what's funny, Mrs. Reeves, who founded this store, that actually hired me years ago, she said before they opened the Country Squire in Jackson, Mississippi, the only place you could buy a pipe in Jackson was at the department store.
Walgreens.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, no,
yeah.
well, no, the department store.
Oh,
like
really?
same place you go buy a suit or maybe a washing machine or something. I mean, we're
Wow,
talking like
interesting.
Sears Roebuck
Yeah,
here.
yeah,
And
yeah.
so
A
you know,
Sears pipe. Could you imagine?
seriously, I mean, that's the kind of thing we're talking. And
Yeah.
so Wally Frank, he was kind of the premier tobacconist in the mid 20th century that brought forth and it was kind of on the front lines of bringing forth this tobacco community where folks could buy and sell and purchase easily just through regular methods and streams and things like that. So so anyway, retailer in New York, he had a significant catalog service where these are folks that you might write into his store and say, hey, I'd like to know what pipes you've got in stock. And they would send out catalogs of pipes all over the country to these folks that were interested in. And then you would receive this catalog, and then maybe you'd telephone him, or maybe you'd send him a postcard and say, well, okay, I saw these photos that you took of these pipes, and I would really, if you still have it, this is maybe 3.5 months after these photos were taken, but if you still have this pipe number B on page 5 that's listed as this number, I would like you to send this pipe, and you can just bill me for it later, kind of thing. And that's literally how it worked back then. And so Wally Frank, of course, was kind of the pioneer of that.
I guess being based out of New York, that kind of had its prevalence of being kind of the source of where a lot was coming into the country.
Sure, obviously it's the biggest market. It's the entry point from all these foreign goods, and we're kind of in the post World War II boom, and so a lot of there's a lot of new wealth being made in America. A lot of these families that had participated in the war, they're coming back, they're starting their careers, and getting money, real money for the first time in their lives. And so you're having some folks with some wealth being created, and they want to display that, right? And so anyway, all that being said, Frank goes to Italy, and he's on a pipe buying kind of tour. A lot of these, folks, if you go overseas, you've got to, it's kind of like going to market, right? You go pick out your stuff and you bring back the things you like to sell in your shops, or maybe
like a pipe show.
Yeah. Or maybe you make a relationship with a vendor or something. And then from that point on, you can start, doing some business remotely or whatever. Frank goes to Italy. He meets Costello. He meets Carlo Scotti with Costello, and he's impressed. He thinks there's some promise there. And so what Frank does, he starts to import the Costellos into the United States, and he wants to market them as kind of an Italian Dunhill. He wants to market them in that same vision that Scotti had, kind of the premier Italian pipe. When you think of the top of the shelf European pipe, you think of Dunhill and Costello, and Wally Frank really wanted to push that. What's interesting is Frank had a lot of pipes at the time that were already marketed under his own name. And so he would get carvers across the world to make pipes, and then so you would and you can still on eBay to this day find Wally Frank pipes that are of various qualities. So you can find a Wally Frank pipe on eBay that might be a $500 pipe, and you might find one that is worth a nickel. I mean, they're all over the map as far as that. But what's interesting, Beau, is that he had his own logo. And his logo was the white bar.
Really?
And so what were they going to do? Like Costello had already kind of designed this logo. His was the white bar. And then Frank had this logo too. So
but Frank didn't so Costello had it first, but Frank wasn't necessarily aware of this.
Well, I think it was just a parallel thing. They both, they were just on two continents.
It's just a bar, right?
Yeah, it's just a white bar. Yeah, that's it. But you want to, if you're shooting to make your brand, you're positioning yourself to make it one of the most premier brands in the world. You got to figure this out, right? It's marketing is extremely important. It's like buying a Mercedes without the little broken triangle thing on the front, right? I mean, you've got to get that part right. And so what Frank did is he came up with this idea. They took and this was the case for most of the 20th century. Costello changed their moniker, their emblem on the side of their pipe, from the white bar. The Costellos that were imported to the United States actually had a piece of crushed up silver foil that was inserted into the side of the pipe and then covered in resin. And so it looked like a diamond. It
Wow.
wasn't a diamond, but it was a piece of crushed up silver
Gave the
foil.
effect.
It gave the effect. It was like a
Yeah.
shiny rhinestone that was in it kind of, embedded into this thing, covered in a a piece of clear resin, and it just had this nice gemstone. So think of like, okay, with Dunhill, you've kind of got the white spot, and then in the Costello world, you kind of had this like diamond spot or a silver spot, something like that. It was just something totally different, which I think
mean,
was was really unique.
It's interesting because both kind of styles in terms of just a plain white bar, the minimalist,
Incredibly minimalist. They speak for themselves.
And I mean, there is something kind of bold in that, and kind of communicating that just kind of clean imagery. But the diamond at the same time does have that high class nature to it as well. I mean, they both
That's it.
very differently communicate the exact same thing. So did Costello do that specifically because of Frank?
That's right. That's
right. Interesting. Imagine that. That's
and so
crazy,
for,
man.
For decades, the Costellos that were imported into America had that marking on them, which I think is really, really fascinating.
So Frank really was a trendsetter in a massive way, not just in the States.
He was.
He got an international guy coming in.
He drove the American pipe market for years there. Yeah. And so, just really almost a kingmaker as far as Costello goes, because, you've got this incredibly huge market in the United States. Costello, they're just getting off the ground. This is post-war America. There's a lot of wealth being created. And he, Wally Frank, he is saying, I'm putting my name on this. I'm betting on this horse kind of thing.
Right.
And so when that happens, the pieces start to come together. You've got a lot of, American folks with cash, and in big cities like New York, they're actually spending goods on things like Italian fine leather and Italian, handmade items of other types. And so, he's like, well, we're going to jump on this train and push Italian pipes. And so it worked out. So over the years, Costello gave birth, as we'd mentioned before, to kind of this family tree of Italian pipe makers. The two most famous of those were Peppino Ascordi and Luigi Radice.
Sorry, I don't know why I laughed. They're just very Italian.
Yeah, no, Peppino Radice. No, yeah, no, but it's one of those things. Like he built such
a lost Mario Brothers.
No, exactly right. I'm sure they fixed plumbing and ate pizza and all the other stuff. But
it's a me, ceviche, Luigi. Sorry, go ahead.
And we lose all of our Italian.
I apologize.
So you've got Ascordi and Radice. They get their start right in the factory of Carlo Scotti and at Castello, and these are two names which now, of course, we recognize as Radice pipes and Ascordi pipes. Mm-hmm. But eventually, they actually went on to do their own things together before they started their own. So, for instance, they left. And you had Caminetto pipes that came from a kind of a collaboration between Radice and Ascordi, and then eventually Caminetto kind of waned and faded, and then those two guys went, and now their names are on other things, and since then Caminetto has kind of been resurrected and on its way kind of back up a little bit. But it's just interesting. There's all these carvers that have gotten their start both in the Costello shop, but also the Caminetto shop, and now the Radice and the Ascordi shop, and so none of that would have happened if it weren't for Carlo Scotti and the gamble he took on making a really high end Italian pipe brand. So anyway, kind of summing all this up, you had a lot of legendary carvers that came out of this shop. They started with English designs, but they realized like there were already a bunch of brands making traditional English designs, right? There were already a lot of brands making a billiard and a bulldog, and a pot and a calabash, or Dublin, or I mean, so it's like, if they're going to come on the market, how are they going to differentiate themselves, right? If there's a million bulldogs on the market, why is someone going to buy mine? Well, they're going to buy it because it's not only is it going to be, the best quality, but it probably needs to be a little different. And so, they started pushing the envelope with some of these shapes and just adding their own eccentricities to them. They might have made it a little more squat than it should have been, or made the sides a little larger, or the bowl a little bigger, or the stem a little more flared, or something like this. And before you know it, you kind of had this Italian progressive style that really kind of emerged as in pipe making that now defines the whole hand carved Italian industry. It's
Man,
really
yeah.
really amazing. Anyway, the Castello it just really trucked along, and their peak, like most pipe makers, peaked in the late 70s, early 80s. They stopped, or their peak was around 8,000 pipes a year, which
That's a lot of pipes.
it's a lot of pipes. And you
Yeah.
think about a factory, and when we say factory, these are people that are hand making these pipes, but regardless of who makes them, they're all making them in the same spot, and they're all stamped Costello. And so in that kind of environment, it's really remarkable. Today, the only serious competitor to Dunhill, historically, as far as a factory made pipe, is a Costello.
Man.
And so that's the, if you're thinking, of that quality, that nature, someone that, I'm buying a pipe because I want to communicate, I'm the guy, not only am I the guy, but I know what I'm doing.
I'm the
too.
bee's knees.
I know what I'm doing, right?
Yeah,
I'm a pipe smoker, and so
the aficionado's pipe.
There is an element of communication here. It's really interesting. And so, and today, the only real, frankly, rival to that, as far as a factory made, brand name pipe, something that you can go pull off the shelf. That's not named after necessarily the carver, but it's named after, the kind of brand and community and aura that it's built are Dunhill and Costello.
That's
and
really interesting.
and that's it. Yeah.
All right. So how many Costello pipes do you own? Because of course you got the one.
Just one. Yeah.
Okay.
I just have one. So
how many Dunhills do you own?
I've got four. Four Dunhills.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, we see where your loyalties lie there.
Well, yeah, I haven't bought any Dunhills new.
Oh.
Yeah, I've only bought only bought used Dunhills, and actually I think one of them was a gift. And so I don't smoke them a ton. Most of the Dunhills I have are.
But I see you smoking that pipe from time to time, man.
So okay, this Costello. So
Yeah.
I have a Costello 55 here for folks that are not watching. What's interesting is over the years these are all handmade products, and so they don't have a machine that just cranks out the same shape over and over, right? It's not like Peterson, where they've got the Peterson 01, and every time you get a Peterson 01, it's the exact same shape. You're always going to get the exact same shape. But with the Costello, they don't have those exact same shapes, but kind of consistency started to emerge, and so you had these shapes that would come around. They were always a little different. Every shape in every pipe is completely different, or is a little different, but the shapes started to coalesce around certain types. And so you had the shape number 54, 56, which is a bulldog, the bent Dublin, which is one of their very popular shapes. It's extremely, very Italian. Yeah, that's one of their.
It's Italian, extremely Italian.
Extremely Italian. It's one of their collection pipes, and just very.
Man, I need to put that down. That is way more.
I know, right? We'll set that back over here. Yeah.
Saw the price tag on that. I'm like, I don't need to be touching this.
It had things like the 93, which was the full bent egg, or the hawk bill, which became very popular. But the 55 kind of has its own following, and I think the 55 is very. I think it really kind of solidifies what the Costello carving, ideal is about, right? So you've got what they did here is they took a pot shape and they gave it just a really pronounced heel. Okay, and so you've got, if you're not viewing, imagine a pot shaped pipe, just kind of a traditional pot shaped pipe. It's just got kind of this arc to it. It's not really a bent pipe per se, but it definitely has a little bit of a dip to it. And then you've got where the end of the pipe would go and turn into the underbelly of it and into the shank. It's just very pronounced. It's got this jut. It's hard to explain.
It's a showstopper.
It's one of those you look at and you're just like, that's a different pipe.
Yes.
And this is very reminiscent of what Costello does. They take traditional shapes and they just put that progressive, modern, stylish, funky Italian edge on top of it. And it's just awesome. It really is just awesome. And so it's one of those pipes you just look at and you immediately know that not only is a Costello, but that's what an Italian handmade pipe looks like. It's just one of those things. So anyway, the shapes have kind of become iconic over the years and developed their own following, and are incredibly popular and very expensive.
Yeah, that's the thing, because I do wonder. You mean, you talk about kind of Costello and Dunhill being kind of the
Yeah,
defining high end
sure.
pipes in terms of factory made pipes, and also with kind of this long legacy behind them. But I'm curious as to the modern pipe buyer, the modern pipe consumer. Are they more going to the Costellos or the Dunhills? Are they more inclined to actually go to, the custom carver that nobody's necessarily ever heard of, or who might be starting to make,
Great question.
the Instagram star over
Great
the
question.
Costello? Yeah.
And I think the nature of our modern market is they're parallel, right? So
Mm,
Costello and Dunhill, obviously, they don't make as many pipes as they did, let's say, in the '70s,
mm.
but they're still cranking out a lot of pipes, and they certainly have their place. We, retailers, a lot of times, folks like the Country Squire, we support. The name brands
Oh,
because
absolutely.
we can sell them, right? I mean, Costello sells to us, and then we can turn around and sell to the consumer. And so, but what's happened is you've got this kind of new upcoming pipe carver thing, and people love that because they're buying directly from the person that carved this pipe, and the pipe is under their name. And then so that's kind of created its own thing, right? And so you've got folks that are on these parallel tracks, and I think in today's American world, folks looking for these really high end pipes, you again, you've kind of got the parallel markets, right? You've got folks that want something unique that came from the carver that has, that you can call the carver up by name. Their name is on the pipe, and they can tell you exactly why they made that exact, shape and finish, and what they were thinking, and what the grain did when they dug into it, and why
Yeah,
they
yeah, yeah.
decided to do this and that. And Costello, it's like calling up the Rolls Royce factory and being like, well, you gave me a great product, and it's exactly what I wanted it to be, and it communicates what I wanted it to be, and and it's great, but it doesn't have, you're not getting to know the necessarily the individual carver that made this pipe.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean,
Yeah.
I get that. I mean, there's kind of a balance there to some extent. I mean, like, you think of, this is probably maybe not a great analogy, but like your hometown coffee shop. Like, everybody's got that coffee shop that's like the local, thing that
Yeah,
might be a
that's
local
right.
franchise, but it's like
That's right.
it's your hometown shop, and it's got a lot of charm, a lot of history that's connected to the city or to you personally, and all the baristas and everything. But the thing is, like, if I'm out of town, I know that I can go to Starbucks and get a really, like, my mocha is going to be the same in New York, Ohio, or Jackson, Mississippi.
Yeah, it's gonna be really crummy.
Well, regardless, it's going to be consistent.
Yeah, but it'll be consistently crummy.
Well,
That's right.
I think Starbucks makes a decent mocha. Triple grande, 2 pump mocha with a splash of peppermint is how I do it. But regardless,
I think you just had a seizure.
well, that's I always tell them I try to make my order as pretentious as possible, but it is.
Yeah, that was basically the Costello of the latte world. I think is what you just pulled out there,
Yes.
right?
That's exactly right.
That's fantastic.
But that's what I'm saying.
No, but
So
you're right. You're right there. I mean, folks want something that they can't necessarily get anywhere else. That is a very boutique, small batch creation. I mean, think about how that's infected our whole culture, right? You've got everything from small batch craft beer and bourbon to things that like we sell in the shop, like Danny
right.
Vasquez's beard oil. I mean, these are things that are handmade by artisans. In the small batch nature that don't have anything to do with the factory. And then, of course, you've got a factory, where, a couple dozen people are cranking out 6,000 pipes a year. They're all handmade, but maybe they're sharing some tools, and maybe they're, are using some common products and things like that. And so it's just a different mindset. It's a different market. And I think there's a place for both in today's pipe world. So,
Absolutely.
Anyway, just some beautiful, great pipes from Costello. I've got another couple of pipes here. I
Yeah,
can
yeah.
show you.
Let's see what we got.
Probably their most.
Oh my gosh, that's gorgeous.
Their most popular pipe on the American market is the Sea Rock Briar. Sea Rock is a rusticated pipe that just has a really craggly rustication to it.
Ooh, man,
and so it's one of those.
Do they have the band at the end of it?
So
at the bottom of it
what
too?
they always do is they leave a smooth spot on the bottom for their nomenclature, and so that's going to tell you kind of the grade of the briar, what line it's from, and
That
then,
is hot.
and all that. And so,
Yeah.
and here's another example, Beau. It's kind of a prince, but also a prince that has that jutted, kind of a Italian heel on it that juts out a little bit. So
I'm sorry, but people that just like
know,
bash rustication and saying like, oh, it's not as quality. You can get some gorgeous rusticated pipes.
That's the
These are
thing,
two
man. I'm
examples
telling
of
you,
them.
there is a time and a place for rustication.
Mhm.
I've met multiple pipe carvers that have said, some of the most fun they've ever had making a pipe was a sandblasted or rusticated pipe, and
Yeah.
I think you really can see that when you see something as high quality as these.
Man, that's a
So
gorgeous pipe.
yeah, pretty awesome. But anyway, that's Costello. We're proud to talk about them, and man, I just it's one of those things you own you have a chance to own maybe one or two of these in your life if you're someone like me, and so you tend to smoke it a lot when you can.
Man, it's the great thing about the Costello pipes. I mean, those can be upwards of, $700, $800. I mean, they're if you're buying a Costello pipe,
It's a high end pipe,
yeah, you're either independently wealthy, which good for you, or you've saved up some ducats.
or you've won a lawsuit.
Or well, hey, we're not asking questions. But if you've yet to win said lawsuit and you just are looking for a really quality factory pipe for a really affordable price, then we got some great pipes to recommend for you.
That's right.
From
That
our
is
good
right.
friends at Missouri Beer Shop.
At Missouri Meerschaum, always consistently produced the best corncob pipes on the market, and of course, an American icon and tradition. Missouri Meerschaum pipes make great pieces at a really affordable value. So wide variety. You've got pipes like the Missouri Meerschaum Mini, which is one that is probably no more than 3 or 4 inches long, has a very small bowl, just big enough for your tamper to fit in and fits nicely in your pocket.
Oh, absolutely.
You've got things like the freehand corncob pipe, which is a larger pipe. It's more of a Dublin shape and kind of has that rusticated top with a nice black finish. And then even pipes like the MacArthur, which if you want to make a statement, there's nothing a bigger statement that you can make. Probably even more than a Costello, than a Missouri Meerschaum MacArthur corncob pipe, which is basically an entire corncob.
That's exactly right.
And just a really good looking pipe. So
you get a couple hundred. You probably get a couple hundred MacArthurs for the price of one of the Costellos.
I'm just saying that, and that's the value of the Missouri Meerschaum pipe, right?
It's a really quality smoke.
It's great. It's great. Absolutely. The quality is always very good, and the price is always very reasonable.
Second to none, you're gonna have a hard time finding a better value. And if you've got a Missouri Meerschaum pipe, smoke it this week. Take a picture, tweet it in. It's a great way for us to share that out so that you can showcase the great Missouri Meerschaum pipe that you are smoking. It's also a great way to let the folks know that you heard about them here at Country Squire Radio, and we thank them so much for supporting the show.
That's right.
All right, man. Quick. Nope. Sorry. Scroll down too far.
Oh, I'm out of gin.
That's probably for the best. We're running a little bit late tonight.
Yeah, it's probably good.
Yeah. Pipe question of the week this week comes in from Howard, who writes in. He says, "Why do some tobaccos burn better than others? I smoke almost exclusively non-aromatics. Some I can light and they will burn through the bowl with no problem as long as I tamp the ash, of course.
Tamp that ash.
Others I seem to be constantly relighting. Is the tobacco is it the tobacco or moisture content, or is it something else?" So again, why do some tobaccos burn better than others?
So Howard has a great question here. Of course, is it the tobacco, the moisture content, or something else? He asks, and the answer is always yes. To this, pipe smoking, it's finicky unless you're gonna smoke the same thing every day all day and learn how that tobacco burns. You have, as a pipe smoker and as you're sampling new tobaccos, you just kind of have to be prepared for each tobacco to burn differently, and not just that, but each tobacco to burn differently in a different pipe. That's the thing about this. It's and I walk with people every day, and including myself. I'm like, why isn't this burning? Oh, it's because I put it in that pipe. Like each one has its own kind of its own connection to the pipe. The cut of the leaves, are gonna carry the flame differently. Everything's different. Obviously, like you mentioned, tobaccos have different moisture contents.
Yeah.
And so, frankly, all of the above is true. All of the above is true. Some tobaccos you might have to light differently than you do other tobaccos. Some tobaccos, because they're drier and more thinly cut, you can light without having to, do much at all. You light it, maybe tamp it quickly, and it's good to burn for quite a while. Maybe a thicker, more cube cut, broken flake, something of this nature. You might have to baby a little bit more, as it's going on, and so and then the moisture content is there as well, and so I think even within the non-aromatic tobaccos, you're just going to have have a lot of variance there. And unless you're a pipe smoker that's committed to smoking the same pipe tobacco all the time, which, I mean, where's the fun in that? Right? I mean, where's the fun in it? Well, of course, I say that some of our best customers obviously are folks that come in the Country Squire. They order
Cherokee number 2.
They order a pound of Cherokee number 2 every day every time they come in, or that's their regular order. And so I think that's just par for the course. I mean, I think some you're going to be able to burn better than others, and the thing is to, with each bowl, ask yourself kind of what's going on here. What's
the common denominator?
What's the common denominator? Yeah. Why did I have an easier time on this pipe than I did this pipe? You're going to have to ask yourself some questions there. Pipe smoking is finicky, and we have to kind of remind ourselves of that. But I think that's kind of the only answer I can really give you, Howard, on the constant relighting with some, and yet others, there's one light, a small tamp, and it goes for an hour.
I feel so stupid about this.
Isn't that amazing? It's that finicky.
I've never really thought about the fact that there is a correlation between, for example, the bowl size and how much moisture is in the tobacco in terms of how easy it's going to be to smoke.
There's some tobaccos, like these really thick cut Latakia blends, for some reason, that I almost only smoke out of a really wide, deep bowl. Flakes are the same way. Flake tobaccos, either a tall, narrow bowl or a wide, deep bowl seem to do better. And then you've got others that, if the bowl is slightly canted forward, maybe, like a cutty, for instance. We've talked about the cutty a lot on the show. The cutty, for me personally, is really good for a ribbon cut tobacco. But as soon as you introduce some thicker cut flakes or some cubes, the cutty, for me personally, can't really handle that well. And I don't even know why. I wish I was a physicist and could tell you. But I think that's just part of it. So you have to start kind of asking for the common denominator. Try the tobacco in a variety of pipes. See which one it works best in. And if all this sounds way too overcomplicated, way too baroque, and you are, don't want to fool with it, just find a tobacco that does burn well, and don't smoke the ones that don't.
That's good. I am foreseeing in the near future a pipe smoking 101 episode about choosing the right bowl size for the right tobacco.
Oh man, that might have to be like a 18-part series.
I mean, that's I'd never thought about that before, but now I need to learn more.
Yeah,
so, great question.
Yeah, good, really good question, Howard.
Yeah, appreciate that so much. Hey, if you've got a pipe question of the week, send it in. show@countrysquireradio.com. Again, that is show@countrysquireradio.com. Quick fire questions.
Ow!
All right, here we go. The quick fire questions coming in from the forums over at thispipelife.com. Thispipelife.com. More on that in just a moment. We actually have these coming in from two different members over at the forums over at thispipelife.com. First couple that come in from our last week's quick fire questions, which is Big Sky Pipin.
Who says
this is a part of his summer barbecue.
Okay.
As you recall.
Okay. Yeah. No, that's right. So we've talked about barbecue a lot on Country Squire Radio.
And we will continue to do so.
Apparently we will.
All right. Potato chips or tortilla chips? Tortilla chips.
Tortilla chips.
Tortilla.
Yeah.
Make yourself a dang tortilla.
I got to go with potato chips.
Potato chips?
Yeah. Tortilla chips if you've got queso involved.
Well, see,
if there's
that's
if there's no queso, just on their own merit, potato chips.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, who would choose tortilla chips with no additional salsa?
Please keep calling it tortilla
or guacamole or queso.
Queso.
You gotta have all.
Yeah. No, I think you're right. I love tortilla chips when it's paired with those, but if it's not, give me a potato chip.
Yeah, I'm with you at that. Cigar or pipe?
Pipe.
Done.
Next question.
Sun or shade? Now
sun.
Listen, Big Sky. We're here. Wait, what?
I'm gonna go with sun.
Okay, well, I was about to inform Big Sky about the fact that we're in Mississippi. If you're out in the sun too long, you will die.
No, I'm not
over shade.
I'm not saying we won't, because it is awful. But
you suicidal?
No, I mean, right. But I mean, I'm someone that doesn't get out into either very often.
All right, fair enough.
Yeah.
You got these nice windows in here, though. You do get some good sunlight. From time to time.
If I stand close to the tobacco counter on the left side, maybe I get a tan occasionally. But yeah, I'm gonna go with sun.
I used to
even though we basically live in a place where humans should not be able to physically live.
It's insane,
and it is a really terrible time of year, weather related. The heat here is just awful.
It's the worst right now because it's humid heat, which is
it's just that you're just swimming.
Yeah, people in Arizona, you complain about that dry heat. I'd take some of that dry heat right now. Here's the deal. Like I recently discovered I used to be very anti hot weather. Like growing up, I really hated the fact that it was so hot here. But I think with kind of this newfound love for the beach that I have, like sitting in like the hot sun, but in the shade specifically, so
with wind.
Yeah, a little bit of wind, but honestly, I'm cool like sucking up the heat if I am not being burned by the sun. Because that's the other thing, man. Like I don't know if he's
so pasty.
It's the Irish in me, man. Like I'm the sun is my kryptonite. We are not friends, but I can enjoy the heat if I'm in the shade. So I'm gonna go shade.
That's good. Okay.
All right. Now this final question comes in from thispipelife.com user Modi2. Now this is a difficult question to ask, as I'm sure we will get a lot of different thoughts and opinions on this. The question is, pipes and cigars or smoking pipes? Now for the uninitiated, I don't think that Modi is asking, do you prefer, pipes and cigars or just smoking pipes?
No, he's referring to websites. He's referring to online retailers of pipe and cigar things.
And you gotta be careful about how you answer this. I mean, you're John David Cole of Country Squire Radio. You are an influential member of the pipe community.
So someone just okay. Let me start by saying both of these are my shop is actually a competitor to both of these sites.
All right,
but both of these sites run by very capable, knowledgeable folks that tend to have carved out a very important place in the pipe smoking
communities.
Incredible, they have carved out very important places. And so you're asking me of the two big online retailers. I mean, we're talking like, I don't know what, Sears and J.C. Penney here or something, right? Of the pipe smoking
Who's
world.
Sears and who's J.C. Penney? Maybe that should be the quick fire question.
Yeah, maybe so. But I think you've got that. There, Walmart and Target, for instance, or something like that. That actually is probably a closer. Okay, my true stripes are starting to come out here. I'm gonna tone it back. But yeah, that's interesting. I'm gonna go with smoking pipes. And I have very specific reasons for that. And I won't go into all of them tonight.
No, okay.
But what I will tell you is they are run by a very good organization that constantly works with retailers and really believe in the pipe craft and community and have incredible relationships with carvers. And if you are going to choose either of them, I would encourage you to support smoking pipes.
All right,
yep.
There you go.
And I cannot believe I just answered that question.
I'm shocked.
And I'll probably get some feedback on that.
That'll be great.
But smoking pipes. If you're not going to buy from ye old Country Squire here in Central Mississippi,
or your local tobacconist,
or a local tobacconist, we certainly would point you there first and always in every case. But the folks at Smoking Pipes are very good folks.
All right. Well, I'm choosing them because you chose them. So
cannot believe I just answered that question.
Modi2, thanks for that quick fire question, and we will just go ahead and direct all the feedback that we get on that one right to you, buddy.
Right.
But of course, those quick fire questions and more come in from the good folks over at thispipelife.com.
That's right.
An amazing online community. If you've not joined so yet, you absolutely should. Now, here's the great thing about thispipelife.com. Not only is it a great forums, but they are also incredibly social. You can find them on Twitter, on Facebook, on the that thing with the pictures that you like to call
Friend Face,
Instagram.
Yeah. Oh, that. Yeah.
That's the one. You can find them. It's a great community, thispipelife.com. And hey, when you sign up for thispipelife.com, it's absolutely free. But when you use the code CSR, it lets them know you heard about it on this show. And it's a great way to help support the content that you're listening to right now. So again,
That's right.
Pipelife.com. Use the code CSR at registering at thispipelife.com. All right, man. So we are kind of running a little bit late, but we're gonna do this great listener feedback that we got in from Austin Cool Beans Baker from the iTunes reviews. Why don't you read us what Austin had to say?
Yeah, Austin says review number 2. Apparently, he's reviewed before, maybe, but he says, I've reviewed you guys before. Okay, there he has. He has reviewed us before. But after watching and listening to the 200th episode, I thought I'd drop another one. I've been smoking a pipe for almost 2 years and have listened to you guys since I started my pipe adventure. So thankful I found you guys because there's no telling what kind of crappy pipe tobacco trail I would have taken. The pipe means a great deal to me, not only to embrace the cadence I receive from the pipe itself, but also reflect on myself and God, and my gracious Heavenly Father has truly blessed my life. God bless you guys, and thank you. And that comes from Austin. Austin, thanks so much. We do sense a connectivity there between the spiritual realm and the pipe smoking realm, and we support those reflections. So,
absolutely.
I mean, that's really great.
We also really appreciate, man, that feedback that you sent in to us on iTunes.
Through iTunes, that's right.
If you have not done so already, head over to iTunes and write us a review. It is a great thing to do. Apparently, you can do it twice. I did not know that until Austin told us that. So that's awesome. But
do it again.
Head over to iTunes and write us a review. It's a great way to help support the show, and it doesn't cost you a dime. However, if you are willing to spend a few dimes to help support the show, head over to patreon.com/Country Squire Radio, where you can become a member of the International Pipe Smoking. I'm messing it up again. The Country Squire Radio International Pipe Club, where we are so very close to opening up the online lounge. So do that. Head over there. You can find links to that at countrysquireradio.com. You can also keep up with us throughout the week. You can follow us on Twitter. I'm at The Real Beau York.
I'm at John David Cole, or you can get us at the shop at @_Country Squire.
You can, of course, also follow the show at Squire Radio. And don't forget to tune in to the live shows happening on Monday nights at 8:30 p.m. Central Time. That's 6:30 Pacific, 9:30 Eastern, all at countrysquireradio.com.
I just need to say this.
Oh, all right. Let's do it.
Russ Hicks just said, JD made an impressive stand for truth, justice, and the American way. Smoking pipes rocks almost as much as the Squire.
Oh, snap.
I just, that affirms me, and we're going to leave it at that.
Hey, if Russ said it,
it's basically gospel.
I mean, I'm telling you, man. Yeah, we've gotten some great live tweets in tonight from those of you tuning in.
That's honestly the most fun when Beau and I show up is just are the folks that tune in live. And obviously our listener feedback from those that can't make it live. Man, this is just great. So
yeah,
we appreciate y'all so much.
I think the tie in terms of memes tonight for the live audience has been Mark, who put in a picture of Luigi popping out of a pipe in Mario, and he says he captioned it with an Italian and his pipe.
Wow for the win.
Yeah, he got some flack for that. And then also I think we did, I can't remember, I'm pretty sure it was Mark VV, and yes it was, who drew us up as Thing 1 and Thing 2 from Dr. Seuss with we would smoke it in a boodle, we would smoke it with a poodle. So there you go.
That's fantastic.
Jude Law, by the way, he was the guy that's
very good,
that scrubbed his skin with the rock on.
Okay.
Got it. Jude Law.
Good.
Not a pipe smoker that we know of.
Good.
But maybe he is. Who knows? All right, man. Well,
I've had a great time tonight.
Great show. Let's go have a night.
See you, brother.
Thanks so much for tuning in, guys.
Yeah, this was great, y'all. I always enjoy hanging out with y'all once a week. It's so much fun, and man, there's so many great tweets.
I apologize to Portland
here
Paul
tonight
and all Italians everywhere.
What did you do to a Portland Paul?
Well, we just made all those Italian jokes, and Portland Paul said we crossed the line, and I feel really bad.
Yeah, we probably did.
Portland Paul.
I don't, What did Family Guy say when he was trying to, what Peter Griffin was trying to speak Italian, and he just started going, he started going like boppity boopity or something.
Yeah.
It's just so awful.
Yeah.
Portland Paul, poor guy. Forgive us.
All right, guys. Y'all have a great night.
Y'all have a great evening. See you soon.
We'll see you next week.
Bye.